what I think is happening, I mean, when people do commonly describe what's often called like a download effect, and they get this very strong sensation of information flowing into their brain at a very high rate. Like imagine a trillion bits per second or something like this. Something that's way beyond any normal kind of information input. There's this strong sense that there is information coming in that's directing the experience, and that's really what I think's going on. I think there is, I lean towards the possibility, I can't escape it. I lean towards the possibility that there is some kind of intelligence here that you are accessing, but I don't think, the idea that if there's a discarnate, which means of course without a body, some kind of discarnate intelligence that actually looks like an insect or actually looks like a reptilian, that doesn't make any sense. And so I don't think that you're seeing, I'm pretty sure in fact, that if there is some kind of intelligence, and we can perhaps talk about what form that might take and why that intelligence might be there, but I if you want to experience or interface with this intelligence, whatever it is, your brain has to build a model of it. There's no escaping that. If I'm talking to you now, my brain is constructing a model of you. I don't know what you're really like, so to speak. I don't know anything about, and you don't know anything about me either, really, but your brain is constructing a model of me. And your brain is very good at constructing models of people in particular. So when people talk about, let's take the insectoids, for example. First of all, no, I don't think that you're interacting with insectoid aliens. I don't think they're actually insectoids. I think they appear to you as insectoids, but I don't know. I don't even know if it's possible to faithfully represent this kind of discarnate intelligence in a visual form, but that's the only thing that we can do. Our brain is we are visual species. We have to be able to construct a visual model of it. And so how does your brain, so the question then is how does your brain model this intelligence? And I think it's directed in the sense that I always say you don't break through into the DMT world. The DMT world breaks through into you. It is taking control basically of your world building machinery, and it decides what you see. It is directing the visions. So you're going to see forms that to a certain extent are going to be perhaps reminiscent of forms that you see in the normal waking world, which kind of contradicts what I said earlier, in that nothing's taken from. So it's not entirely true that yes, nothing is taken from this world. There are often, certainly in terms of the beings, your brain has to kind of find some way of representing these beings, or has to be induced to represent these beings in a way that makes sense to you as a living being that you're interacting with. So why they choose the insectoid, why that's such a common motif, I don't know. One thing that people often talk about, and is often what I consider to be quite a lazy explanation for DMT, is the Jungian idea of archetypes, right? So archetypes are one of the most universally known concept, but also just as well misunderstood, I think. The archetypes, that they aren't that mysterious, really. An archetype is an inherited neurological pattern. It's basically in animals we would call these things instincts, right? So a spider doesn't need to learn how to build a web. It's born with that instinct. It contains certain patterns, certain certain important ways of interacting with the environment can be embedded. Certain programmed routines, right, can be that are absolutely essential, can be embedded in your neural architecture from birth. These deep programs, they're very deep in the brain. They're fixed. They're no good for interacting with a very uncertain, ever-changing world, but they provide you with the bare bones apparatus of how to interact with things in the world. So to kind of crystallize that a little bit, the spider building the web, right? It's something that's very important that a spider is able to do. It doesn't need to learn how to do it, right? It's so important that it's kind of embedded. It's an instinctive behavior. A newly hatched turtle will instinctively move towards the ocean, right? This is very important. If not, they get predated, right? So in humans, we also have these basic fundamental ways of interacting with the world, which also influences how we model the world as well. So we have a child from about a year old, a baby. If a snake is brought into the room, and people have done this, they will be particularly fascinated with this creature, more so than other types of creatures, living animals that you can bring into the room. We have certain programmed ways of interacting with certain things in our environment, and normally these are important for our survival. So snakes, spiders, other types of animals, but those particularly are particularly strong, but also other humans. Right? A baby will instinctively be attracted towards its mother. Yes, it will feel a sense of warmth and comfort and safety in the presence of its mother. If you separate the baby from the mother, it cries. Yes, it gets the separation distress. And there are also, if you think about the fundamental distinction between humans, we have friends and we have enemies. So you need to know that a stranger is someone you need to keep a distance, be careful. You don't know their intent. They could, someone from another tribe, let's say. The wise old man. We're talking about archetypes here, right? The wise old man, right? What is that? Well, that's a more senior member of the tribe, someone you should listen to carefully, someone who has lots of experience. You need to listen to what he or she is telling you, because that could be useful as well. So we have these programmed patterns of interacting with other humans and other animals. With animals, insects, it's one of basically fear and withdrawal and keeping your distance. Same with snakes. With humans, it's much more complicated. Various types of humans, if you like. So these all form part of our archetypal toolbox, if you like. So an archetype is simply an inherited pattern of neural connectivity that enables us to respond reliably and appropriately and adaptively with other beings in the environment. And it also means that we tend to build models in certain ways. So we're very good at building models of insects, right? And they have certain characteristics attached to them, right? An insect is something you need to be careful of. It has sort of an alien almost character to it, right? And again, different types of humans. The mother archetype is simply that inherited pattern of behavior, that response, the emotional response and behavioral response to the presence of your mother. So this loving figure, if you like, is basically you could see it as a manifestation, this loving female presence that people so often experience. You could say that is a manifestation of like the mother archetype, but it's not. It's simply the brain's placing this pattern onto, it's using the archetype, if you like. Archetypes are being used all the time. You have information flowing in from the outside world, and you have information flowing from these deeper neurological structures, these archetypal ancient structures as well, that are helping you to interact with the world. When you meet a new person you've never seen before who's approaching you, yeah, your archetypal patterns are kicking in. This is a stranger, I need to be careful, he needs to be wary of this individual, yeah. So you're using your archetypes all the time. So even when your world model is being so dramatically altered by DMT, it's not surprising that your brain dips into its archetypal toolbox to try and find something, some kind of model that's going to work to kind of make sense of this. And it wouldn't surprise me if this intelligence was indeed drawing upon that and using what's familiar to us to kind of get across what they want to get across. If they want to reassure us and make us feel calm and relaxed and that we're in safe hands, we don't need to worry, then they're not going to show us an insectoid, right? That wouldn't make any sense. Yeah. So the presence is going to be female, right? They're using that. If they want to scare you, then an insectoid is a much more appropriate model to use. So I think that's what's going on. So you certainly can't explain using archetypes. It's very simple, basic, like templates, if you like. That's all an archetype. It's a basic template for how to build a certain type of human or build a certain type of animal. That's all it is. It certainly can't explain these extremely dynamic and hyper complex behaviors and geometries and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I don't dismiss the archetypal explanation, but I think it's just the surface level of what's going on there.